It's about time to build a new computer. All right, we decided to build a Ryzen PC because Ryzen's the best deal when it comes to the balance of productivity and also gaming, because you have gaming power. But here's the idea with this system. I wanted to save some money while still having a CPU that can really multitask. And that's the thing about the 2700X. It performs, when it comes to productivity, right up there at the 8700, probably a little better on some tests, a little worse on others, close to the new i9, but not quite. However, it's way less expensive, so much less expensive that we can spend the extra money on a crazy graphics card. So I would rather have the AMD 2700X with a 2080 rather than have like an i9 with a 1070 or something, because that's what's going to happen if you spend all your money on your CPU. I also really like the 2700X because, of course, it's unlocked. All the AMD stuff is easy to overclock, really easy to overclock. And plus, it's 8 cores, 16 threads, so that's going to be very handy when it comes to game development and that sort of thing. If you want to use it for gaming, by all means, but it's going to really excel if you're doing gaming and something else, gaming and streaming, gaming, editing, whatever. So it's just a really good all-around CPU. Now for the motherboard, we grabbed the MSI. It's the X470 Gaming Pro Carbon. And this one's loaded. Of course, you got your RGB and all that sort of thing. Got a couple M.2 slots. All right, so the motherboard, if you want the style, you've got all the absurd numbers of different style options with the RGB lights that are all over the place. You guys can see them on there. Right now they're just kind of running in like a random mode. There's also some RGB headers to expand. I love the fact that there's 6 fan headers on here, although this Be Quiet case that we're using has a nice little hub that I have it all hooked up to right now. If I wanted more control, I would plug them all up individually, and then you can go in and map those in the MSI software. Now, of course, this supports multiple GPUs, whether it's AMD, or NVIDIA. We're just going to use the one big NVIDIA card because that's all we're going to need. And this motherboard also has the audio boost technology that has the dedicated section with the custom audio capacitors, and that can help with the sound in your games and that sort of thing. Plus the amplifier is nice if you have fancy headphones. Now, last thing I mentioned about the motherboard, you'll notice that some of the sockets have steel armor around them, and that's for rigidity, and I'm not sure why they put it on the memory. It looks really cool, but it mainly helps with support for the bigger graphics cards and that sort of thing. Now, this one doesn't have a USB header, so we can't use the USB on the front unless we want to get an expansion card, which I might do. But it does have USB 3.1C on the back. All right, let's talk about this graphics card for a minute, because that's sort of the main highlight of the system. It's the most expensive thing. It's where I decided to put the budget is going right there. So this is the 2080 Amp Extreme from Zotac, and we have 3 different LED zones, the logo, and then the top and the bottom, and there's several different RGB methods that you can do with this, but this is also an extremely overclocked version of the 2080. It has a very premium cooling solution, hardly even comes on, actually. This thing, I ran benchmarks for a while, and it took it forever to even turn the fans on. But yeah, this thing's a beast with 2,944 CUDA cores. Right now, the boost clock on this thing is 1905, but when we were doing some of our tests, it goes farther. You know, it's a dynamic clock, so when we were running Valley, it was getting up to 2100. We'll do some separate benchmarks in another video, so stay tuned for that. I'll put it up against my old 1080, and we'll just see how much better it is. Turn on some RTX and stuff like that. Let's talk about this glorious case right here. This is the Be Quiet Dark Base 700. And this is the new version of the Dark Base 700. We got the shroud on the bottom and everything. It's all sleek. Now, everything is easy to work with, and this stuff just pops off. The front panel will pop off. It stays on there. You can't see through it. And we also have some RGB fans in the front that you can't see because of the way this case is built. So RGB fans in the front. If you have a radiator behind it, it's going to pretty much be whatever. They don't shine through the front or anything. We got our LEDs around here. And when you move the front off, it's got a little connector on the bottom. And of all the cases I've played with over the last several years, Be Quiets are like the least frustrating. It just works, and stuff's easy to put together. Everything's very well thought out. Now this one, you can take out the entire motherboard tray after removing a few screws and turn it if you wanted to. I didn't see any real reason to change the way everything was mounted, so I left it the way it is. More of a standard layout. And you can even mount your graphics card right here in the front. In order to do that, you're going to need a riser cable. Now, I highly recommend this Thermaltake riser cable. You guys can get them. 200 millimeter would have worked, barely. 300 gives me enough room that I can bend it around a little bit, and I can plug it into the top slot if I wanted to. So yeah, these cables from Thermaltake are solid. We didn't have a full-on mounting option, so I even cut off a piece of the Thermaltake box and put it down there on the bottom so you can't see the ugly, the ugly way we've got it put in there. I wanted to put the graphics card like this just for the video, but I'll probably mount it normally after the video's over when we start using the system. You have a lot of room over here in the front. Now you can get some more hard drive sleds and mount those right there. They kind of like stand like this in the front. It comes with another one. You guys can buy as many as you like and put hard drives all the way up here, but you have some hard drives under here as well. We've got one installed down there. Just got one 8 terabyte Seagate Iron Wolf drive. I've really been having a lot of luck with the Iron Wolf drives. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can also get like a 4 terabyte HDST. So when it comes to 4 terabytes, HDSTs, the NAS drives are the best. But I really like the Iron Wolf drives for 8 terabyte, 12 terabyte, and even the new 16 terabyte. So if you want a lot of space, just go ahead and grab one of those. Anyway, if you're not going to be using hard drives, you're going to have a lot of extra space here in the front. So that might look a little weird to some of you. But if you're going to be doing a build with a custom water loop or something, that's a great place to put a radiator. It's really going to be easy to mount it there, and you'll have plenty of room. All right, while we're talking about Be Quiet, let's also talk about the power supply that's hidden behind the shroud here. We're using the Be Quiet Straight Power 11 750 watt power supply. Now, this is 80 plus gold certified, but it'll get up to 93%. And this one features a PCB with no need for any extra wires or any nonsense like that, which also helps the heat, helps things be more efficient. It's modular, so that's fancy as well. You plug in whatever cables you need and keep the rest of them in the box. And we have a 135 millimeter fan on this thing, and there's sort of a funnel shape in the fan that directs the airflow in there. So this is a Silent Wings 3 fan as well, and that means it's virtually silent. You don't even have to worry about it being on and off. I never even know if it's what it's doing. You can't hear the damn thing. It's so freaking silent. So I quite enjoy that power supply. The Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro gets an honorable mention because we actually installed the Dark Rock Pro in here first, but it was bumping into the graphics card. The case isn't quite high enough to have a large tower cooler like that and the graphics card. So I had to wait a few days until we got our Cooler Master, which is awesome. But, I wanted to go with the Be Quiet, all nice and sleek. But, whatever. I like them both. I like the water cooling and I like the tower. So you can go with the tower if you want to. It's really, really quiet. You got the Silent Wings cooling units on there or fans on there. And it's also extremely easy to put together. If you guys have worked with Noctua, well, think of it as kind of like very similar as far as the installation process. And it's all black. There is that, So for the cooling unit, we ended up going with the Cooler Master Liquid. This is the ML240R. And this is an RGB cooling unit. You got RGB on the actual block, and we have RGB on the 2 fans that come with it. It's also extremely quiet. So you got the 240 millimeter radiator mounted there in the front. And this is an all-in-one loop, the nice copper block on the bottom, and I have absolutely zero complaints with it. It's been running great. I wanted to try one of these out because I haven't used one yet. It came with a little hub on the back for all the RGB as well, and there are plenty of extra spots to plug in more fans. So if you guys wanted to get more fans and plug them into the same hub, you could do that. Okay, let's talk about the NVMe M.2 that we put in here. This is the Kingston A1000. This is a 480 gigabyte NVMe M.2. It's $1,500 on the read and $900 on the write. But get this, the price, it's $100. This is grab it, just get it. Yep, you guys can go get one that's like a little bit faster, but just for the money, get 2 of these, and the 960 is like $179. So if you can afford the 960, get that one. If you guys want to go for the faster read speeds of the KC series, those are going to be about twice the price, depending. So for me, I'd rather have the other one as a secondary drive and just use that to store all of my game data and stuff like that while we're working on our game. It's going to be indispensable. All right, the RAM. Now, we're probably going to need more RAM than this, so we're going to put in 2 of these kits in our system. But if you're just going to be gaming and doing like some light editing on the side, you'll be just fine with 16 gigabytes. So we went with the Kingston HyperX. This is the Predator memory. And we got the 16 gig kit, and we also decided to go with the 3333 because that's a very good compromise between the price and the speed. You do like to have a little bit of speed with the Ryzen CPUs because it actually helps. Before, in the past, it didn't matter that much, but it can help performance, maybe improve a few FPS in your game or whatever. So the higher quality faster memory is going to be expensive, but it can be worth it if you have the money. So for us, this rig is going to be replacing a 5960X rig. So that's going to go away, sell parts, whatever, scavenge it, pull stuff out of there, and then we'll be putting our game files on here. We're not working on the game that much right now because the budget won't allow it. Plus, we've got so many projects coming up for the holidays and stuff that we haven't been able to. But it's going to be nice to have an AMD system, and also that 2080 right there is going to be really freaking handy when it comes to testing out games and that sort of thing. You always want a little bit more horsepower than the end user is going to need at home when you're making the game because it's unoptimized. So a little beast like this is going to be nice. But if you wanted to do like intense 4K gaming or even 240 hertz 1080p 1440p gaming, this machine will crunch through that no problem. So when it comes time to get your peripherals, be sure to grab some Fennec peripherals because they're sleek and professional, but they also get the job done. So we got the Fennec Swift, if you like the 3360 sensor. That's what I'm using right here, really nice and ergonomic. Then we also have the Fennec Standard Issue. It's 3310 sensor, and that's my favorite as far as the size and shape goes. But we've just brought the price down on these to instead of $39 for those and $41 for the 3360 sensor. And also, don't forget on here you can hold down button combinations to change the RGB without having to go and mess with any software. So that's one of the little features that we have on our mice products. So just grab a Fennec mouse while you're on Amazon, and grab a Fennec keyboard if you want to as well. They're on here. If you're worried about spilling your beverages all over stuff, you got a little water resistant keyboard, plus it's membrane, which is going to be nice and quiet for streaming. So grab all of that stuff. So let us know what you guys think of the build. I'm sure you will in the comments. That's your prerogative. And you're right as a citizen of the universe, I suppose. I will mention that on the graphics card, if you wanted to go with a different model, the Zotac 1080 is also a very, very good deal right now. And I've got a Zotac 1080 in my personal rig over there, sitting at the computer. Actually, it's a 1080, not even a 1080 Ti. And that thing's been going strong. It's actually the fastest 1080 that I've been able to find. We even tried overclocking the Galax, Hall of Fame version to as high as the Zotac, and we must have just gotten like the Jesus version because it's ridiculous. Anyway, I've had a lot of luck with the Zotac graphics cards, and that's why I messaged them when we were making this rig and said, hey, let's get something cool going on. Anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments, and we'll see you later.